Okay, we have made it to day 3 of our class. I'm going to go over some of the things that we covered on day 1 and day 2 just quickly, and then move you into some new material. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start a drawing. I'm not going to go down to templates because it's going to just automatically select the AutoCAD.dwt, which is the one I want to start with. So I'm going to just go ahead and do start a drawing. So here is my drawing. Just going to move it so that you can actually see the icon in the corner. X positive along the red line, Y positive along the green line straight up, and then the negative value for the X is to the left and the Y negative value is downward. One thing I want to remind you is to always read the command line. You do have another option where you can actually have your dynamic input down here on the status bar on. Mine is on right now, but notice the difference. If I turn this off and I draw a line, I don't have any command up here at my cursor, but I do have to read the command line where it says specify first point. So I click and it then says down in the command line specify next point. So it's ready for me to enter a coordinate. It's not actually drawn a line yet. It's just ready for me to specify the next point. So if I escape and get out and turn on the dynamic input down here at the status bar on, so it turns blue, then when I start the line command, notice right here at the cursor, it says specify first because I can see the command right where my cursor is. I don't have to keep going down and reading the command line. And it also gives really cool information like what is the actual coordinates that my cursor is sitting at. So as I move, it obviously changes the cursor as so. And for this example, I am going to actually change my units. Is to go to the big A and go to drawing units or drawing utilities, and the units are right here. But then again, another option, and by the way, you don't have to type a command while you're in the command line. You can just type it anywhere on the screen. So I'm going to actually type in units, and notice even just if I put unit, it wants to select unite, but I'm going to select units. And then it does bring up this box where you can select your units. So I'm going to change it from decimal by hitting the down arrow and changing it to architectural. Then I do have to put in feet and inches if I want to put in an actual distance. My precision, I can change that to be only a ½ inch, quarter inch, eighth inch. I am going to keep it at 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to keep that the same. And I am going to keep my decimal degrees the same over here. I'm not going to change that. And nothing else I am going to change. So I'm going to hit OK. And my units are set to go. Another thing I want to remind you is to save your work very often. So about every 10 minutes, make sure and go up to the top over here and actually hit save. Especially if you've already given it a name, then you can just hit save. If you have not given it a name already, then you do want to make sure and go to save as, which is right next to it, and actually give it a name. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to quickly go through some of the ways that we drew a line from last class. The first one I'm going to show is the absolute. So I'm going to go up to the line command. By the way, you can also do it a different way. You can hit L, and notice just hitting L and enter, it will start the line command. So, little secret if you prefer using your keyboard. This time I'm actually going to start at the origin, 0, 0. The first number is the X, the second number is the Y. So it's going to go straight to my origin right here at the corner. If I want to go let's say 7 inches to the right, then my X would be 7 and my Y would be 0. But I do have to remember and put in the little hashtag or the pound sign first, and then I will go 7, 0. And it went 7 inches to my right. If I want to go straight up, let's say about 5 inches, I'm going to do hashtag 0, 5, enter. And notice what happened. I forgot to do my addition. So notice what happened. I went to the actual coordinate of 0x and 5 up. Okay, so we don't actually want to do that, do we? I'm going to hit enter and I am going to erase or delete that one. Instead of doing the undo here at the top, which would undo both lines, I just erase one. So going back to the line command, if I let it actually go to my endpoint, which I bet you remember from our glass class how to set this up. Yes, yes, say yes to yourself, right? Right? If you do not, going down here, we have object snap. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about right here. Okay. It says object snap. If I right click, it will show all the different settings of my object snap, which basically means it'll snap automatically to these things that I have checked right here. So right now it's set up to go to my endpoint, my midpoint. I can have center checked if I want. Node, which I'm going to show you probably next class, the intersection of two lines, perpendicular is always good, but notice they have several other ones. We're going to explore those a little bit later, but I'm just going to have these 4 checked for now. And by making sure that this is turned on so that it's blue, if I start my line command, I can snap right to the endpoint of that line. And if you remember, that was exactly 7 units away. So I'm going to click here. And if I want to go straight up, I would go hashtag 7, 5, enter. Now I'm exactly 5 units off of my last point straight up. I did start at 7, 0. That's what this point is right here. And I went up to 7, 5. So now, if I want to go back over here to the beginning, I would actually say hashtag my X is 0, 5, enter. Now I'm at 0 X value and 5 Y value. Now I could go down and just click right here, but I also, for my absolutes, could go hashtag 0, 0. And now I have a rectangle. Notice, even though I push enter, it does not stop the line command. It's still ready to continue to go. So if I wanted to actually maybe use some of those O snaps that I specified over here, I could make an X by just going to this corner and then hitting enter. And if I hit enter again, it restarts that last command, which is line. And I can click this corner and I can click this corner because it automatically will snap to those points with OSnap on. Okay, so that's absolute. The next one was relative that we did. A little bit easier because you don't have to remember what point you were at. So if I start the line command, and let's say that I want to start at 1 foot away, so I say 1 foot, 0, and hit enter. So I'm exactly right here. Then it's a matter of just saying relative to this point, what is my next point going to be? So if I wanted to draw the same thing over here, I would just say 7, 0. and it goes exactly 7 units away in the x direction from my last point. Then if I wanted to go straight up, I would go 0, 5. And it goes exactly 5 units up the y direction from where I was because I'm not changing my x. So that's why it was 0, 5. And then if I wanted to go to the left, then I would have to say, okay, what direction am I going? I'm going into the negative x direction, not the positive, which would be to the right, but I'm not changing my y. So it would be negative 7, 0. Boom, right there. Now, I'm going to show you something I didn't show you in the last class. If you want to complete an object from beginning to end and you haven't stopped and started over or anything like that, a little secret, even if your cursor's way off here, I can hit C and enter, and that C stands for close, which means it will close the object of what you were drawing. Now, if I had stopped somewhere in the middle, like drawn 2 lines, I'll show that example. If I draw this line and then hit close, it still will go back to the beginning of where I started those lines. So you have to make sure that you haven't stopped in the middle and started over, or you'll get something different like that. And then the last one that I showed you was the polar. And this one involves putting the distance you want to go plus the angle. So I'm going to start with line again. And I'm going to start about 2 feet away. So I'm going to say 2 feet, 0, enter. So here's my first point. And let's say that I actually don't want to draw straight lines this time. Let's say I want to go at a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to put it on ortho just to show you to see what happens if I force it with an angle. So I'm going to say I want to go, let's see, how about 6 inches? So 6 and then the less than sign and say 45 degrees. So even with ortho on, it still went 45 degrees direction. If I actually turn ortho off, I can still spin it, but I can say, hey, I want it to go this direction, which if you remember your angles would be between 90 and 180. But let's say I want to go exactly 45 degrees this way. To do that, I would actually have to do some addition. So 90 is straight up, and then you add 45, and you actually get 135. So I'm going to put 6 less than sign 135. Enter. So now it's gone exactly 45 degrees in this direction, the upper left area. If I want to go back down 45 degrees this way, then I would actually have to tell it 6 angle, and then I would have to add 45 with 180, which would give me 225. Now, just to back up, does everyone understand how I did that? If I wanted to go 180, it would be straight across. I add 45 degrees to that, and I get 225, which is why I put in 225. Now, I could just see it C and enter because I haven't stopped in the middle of this, but just to show you the angle, you could do it 2 different ways. One is, okay, I want to go this direction, which would be 360 minus 45, or I could do 270, which would be straight down, plus 45. Okay, both of those actually come up with an angle of 315. So I'm going to say 6 angle 315, and it closes my shape. Ta-da! Isn't that awesome? Okay, so this was the absolute, this was the relative, this is the polar. The best way, the absolute best way, is what they call direct distance. It's a shortcut that they added a few years ago. It's now the preferred way for everybody. But let me just show you an example on top of this diamond how that works. When you go to line, it doesn't matter if your ortho is on or off. It just doesn't matter at all. You just hit here. And if I want to go exactly 45 degrees, I would have to like wait until my little cursor actually says 45, but there's a trick to that. Before I show you that trick, let's just do a square first. So I'm going to go to line and let's do a square from this point over here on the diamond. If I go with my ortho on to make sure it's a straight line, I'm starting at this point. So I'm going to click this point. I'm just going to pull it to the right. I'm just literally pulling it to the right, okay? And I put in 2 feet. It will go 2 feet to my right, okay? I pull it straight down and I say 6 and enter. It will go straight down 6. I pull it to the left, just pulling the cursor and hit 1 foot, so I am putting the little apostrophe and enter. It will go exactly 1 foot to the left. Now notice if I have these O-snaps on, I can go exactly perpendicular, or at this point it actually is halfway. So I can go exactly to the midpoint and then hit enter. So let's show it with an angle, but we want to force it to be exactly on the 45 degree. Remember down here, ortho is to go exactly in a straight line. So if I have ortho on, notice I can only go up, to the right, down, or to the left. Perfectly straight line on one of those directions. But right next to ortho is what they call polar. So if I turn my polar on and then I right click, look at all the different angles that you can actually select with polar. Now, you could just select the 90, 180, 270, 360, but that's just like turning on your ortho. So that's really not necessary. But notice the second option, 45, 90, 135, 180. Obviously, it would go to 225. It's all the 45 degree points, which is awesome. Okay? It also has 30, 60, 90, so you can go in increments of 30 degrees. You can go in increments of half of 45, which is 23, 45, 68. You kind of get the message, right? You can go all the way to 5-degree increments, which can get a little tedious, okay? But let me show you how it works with just the 45 on, okay? So I'm going to go to line. I'm going to start at basically the end point or the intersection of this. And as soon as I start pulling it away, it snaps to the 45. Now, if I pull away from 45, notice I don't get a green line. Ooh, it gave me a green line there. But it is snapping at certain degrees. Right over here is my 135. If I go down here, it's snapping to 225. Now you're asking, well, where did that green line come from, huh? Right next to the O snap is what they call object snap tracking. This is usually on. If it is not, notice what happens. I'm going to actually turn it off down here. And I don't, well, I'm still seeing the green line. Bummer. Let me show you that in a different way. Okay. We'll put that back on, but it works better in a different example. So I'm going to let it snap to my 45 degrees. I could snap to 0. I could snap to 90, but I'm going to snap to 45 degrees and I'm going to say, you know what? I want to go 6 inches away. So I hit 6 and enter. I pull it up the 135 degree, letting it snap with that green line, and I hit 6 and enter. I pull it down in the 135, I'm sorry, the 225 direction. I hit 6 and enter, and then just let it snap basically with that green line to 315 degrees, and I put 6 and enter, and boom, it's done. I mean, how easy is that? I love it. I use it all the time. Um, I don't think I need to show that to you again, but I think you get the idea of that. Um, but while I'm at it, let me show you this object snap tracking, which can be so helpful. Let's say that I wanted to start a line that was midpoint of here and midpoint of here. Okay, you're going, what? Okay, I'm going to go to line and I'm going to let it snap. I'm not clicking a thing. I'm just moving my cursor to let it snap on the midpoint. Okay, then I'm going to go down and let it snap to this midpoint. Like I said, I am not clicking anything. I'm just kind of hovering there. But if I move my cursor away, look at the two green lines. Basically what it's saying is, oh, you want a point that is both midpoint on the first line and midpoint of the second line. Now when I click, look where it starts. It's exactly at the midpoint of this and the midpoint of this out here. So then I can actually start drawing. Let's say, okay, I want to go 7 inches. 7, enter. Booyah! I love that. Another thing you can do is, let's say I wanted to go straight up, and I don't know how far this is away straight up, okay? But I can actually hover, not clicking, don't click it, and pull my cursor away, and you have to kind of force it sometimes. And then look what it does. It makes the green tracking straight and even with that corner, but also straight up. And then if I click, it actually puts the point there. It's exactly even with this corner. If I wanted to, let's say, go to the midpoint, but only go halfway across, I hover on that midpoint, not clicking it, and just pull my cursor away. But notice how sometimes it doesn't pull that green tracking. It's kind of a matter of pulling it straight and letting it do its thing, but it doesn't always work perfectly the first time. But it's got my green tracking. It's ready to go. I click. That line is exactly halfway of this distance down here. And then I could just finish it out by going to the end. But how cool is that with the object tracking? If this is off and I try to do that, let's say I try to do it over here on this side, I go to line, I go to midpoint, there is no tracking. There's no green line happening. I cannot snap to a point out here that's basically midpoint and perpendicular to those points. I turn it back on. I hover at the midpoint. See my green tracking? I hover at this midpoint. I let those connect and I can start my line by clicking right there. And then I can just keep going. Let's say I wanted to go 7 this time away this way. And I'm snapping to 225 this way. 7, enter. I could go to the midpoint of this line right here by letting it snap to it. And then going to the end of this one. It's not exactly a true kite. You see that? It's not exactly a straight line from here. So if I wanted to make it a straight line from here and not go to the midpoint, I would hit enter. I would get rid of this line, hit delete, and let's say I want a kite, a true kite. I would go to this line, start at this point. I would hover here. I would hover here and allow the green tracking to come down. Notice it's now letting it come down. I could go all the way down to here. Notice it is creating a point on that line down below that's perfectly lined up with the corner up top. So I'm going to click, and then when I go back over here and hit enter, I have a kite. Kind of cool. So the tracking can help you with a lot of different things. I never, ever, ever turn the object snap tracking off because it can line up with so many different things. Let's see, what else? We've gone through the ortho, the polar, your OSNAP tracking. Let me show you now a couple of lines that will help you in like maybe one of your assignments. Up here under draw, notice I do have line, polyline, circle, arc, and all these others, but if I actually click with the down arrow where it says draw, I have more options. We're actually going to cover most of these in class, but this one right here is what they call a construction line. And notice the diagram that they show you for that. It's basically kind of like a helper line. It goes infinitely in both directions of wherever you start the line. So technically, it's not a line that you would keep for your drawings. It's something that you would use in your drawings and then erase later. And later, also in the class, I'm going to show you how to create lines with different colors so that you can see them differently. But let me show you how this works. So I'm going to hit construction line. And I am going to basically do what it says, specify a point. So let's see, this one is about, 6 foot away. So let's say I say 6 feet, comma, 0. Notice what it does. It actually is creating a line infinitely. I mean, we're talking infinitely. It doesn't matter how much you zoom out. It will go forever. And if I have ortho on, then it will only do straight up and down or to the left and right. So all I have to do is click. It doesn't matter where I click as long as it's lined up because I'm on ortho. I just click and it actually created a line. Okay. Then when I go up and down with my cursor and click again, it made one up and down. So if I hit enter, notice I now have two lines infinitely in both directions. Okay. So let's say that I wanted one 6 inches away from this one. I could go to my construction lines and I could say, okay, I want it 6 inches higher than this one. Let's say I want my first point to be 40 feet, comma, 6, meaning 6 inches higher. And 40 feet is going way off over here. Oh, 40 feet was way over there. Okay, so anyway, I could just click right here and it has my line exactly 6 inches away from this one. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter, but this line is 6 feet away from here. So now I know that if I want one 6 inches away from there, I can go to construction line and I can say, okay, I want my next line to be 6 foot 6 inches, comma, 0. Okay, so now this one is 6 inches away from this line. And yes, I could pull it down and let it go even with this, but why? I already have a line there. So I'm going to pull it straight up and click anywhere, straight up, and it makes my line infinitely 6 inches away from the other one. So then I hit enter, and I've got two lines exactly 6 inches away from each other, going infinitely in two directions, okay? And you're saying, well, why would I do that? Okay, if you look at your assignment that you're going to have pretty soon called your bedroom, the walls are 6 inches apart. So what I can do is I can actually create walls by just drawing over these lines. So let me show you a little bit more what I'm talking about. If I want the room to be exactly 30 feet long, so from this edge, let's say this is the inside edge of a wall, and I want the other wall to be exactly 30 feet from it, positive X direction. This line was at 6 foot 6. Okay, so you do some math. Okay, so if I want to add 30, it would be 36 foot 6. Did you guys get that? 36 foot 6. So I go to my construction line and I want the first point to be 36 foot 6, comma, 0. Okay, if I zoom out, there is a line that is 36 foot 6 away, 30 feet away from that line. It's going straight up and down unless I pull it straight down and then it'll just go over the other line. So I pull it straight up and click, and it creates that X line. So then I have to hit enter to stop it because it'll keep going. It'll keep trying to make lines. And then you have a line over a line over a line over a line. Oh, that would be a drag, wouldn't it? Okay, so this is exactly 30 feet away from this one. I want now another one 6 inches away. So this one was at 36 foot 6. If I add another 6 inches, what does that get you? I need to go to 37 feet. So I'm going to go up to construction line, and I'm going to say I want the first point to be at 37 feet, comma, 0, enter. And as soon as I move my cursor, see if I keep my cursor over here, it's trying to draw another horizontal line. See that yellow line? I don't want a horizontal, I want a vertical. So I pull it straight up and click and hit enter. And I now have construction lines that are 30 feet apart in the middle. Okay, and they're 6 inches wide. So that's kind of like saying, this is my wall, 6 inches thick going around. Okay, I want some walls that are 20 feet away from this line, not 20 feet from this one, but 20 feet on the inside of the wall. Okay, so what I can do is I can say, I'm going to go to construction lines, and to be 20 feet away from this line, I would have to do some addition. This one is 6 inches high from the origin, so I could say 20 foot 6, right? Right. So that is one way to do that. Let me show you another. Just in case you're tired of construction lines, I could go line, let it snap to a point, and I could say, you know what? I want it to be 20 feet from that corner. So I put 20 feet and hit enter, and my line is now ready to go. There is a line over a line, but it's 20 feet high. Okay. And then I could go to the right. I could say perpendicular, hit enter. This is exactly 20 feet away from this line. And then I could say, okay, I want my next line to be exactly 6 inches away from this line, right above it. Okay, this is where that object snap tracking that I told you about right here comes real handy. Okay, I'm actually going to erase this construction line right here so that you can see what I mean. Actually, I don't need any of these, so I'm going to erase them all. Remember, if you go right to left, let me show that again. If I click, let go of my mouse, and pull my mouse to the left and let it cross all 3 lines, it will erase all 3 lines. I click again, and it selected them, and I hit enter. And you're saying, oh no, I don't have a line over here. That's okay. You can draw it now. Okay, but I want a line that's actually 6 inches away. Ooh, I lost this one too, didn't I? Okay, you can go back and undo and get those lines back like that. Do I want to do that? Yeah, let's keep it there for now. Okay, so I have my construction lines all back because I undid the erase. Okay, I want a line 6 inches above. You can do it several different ways. You can go to line, you can go to the end and pull it up 6 inches like this. But then you would have to go back over this way and back over this way to get it to intersect, right? So I'm going to actually undo that by going to undo. Let's try a different way. How about if I went to line and I hovered, didn't click, I'm not clicking that point, I'm just hovering at endpoint. And then I'm going to pull it up 6 inches. And I'm going to hit 6 and enter. Notice it actually starts it from that point. So I could go to the left and then go to the right. It's kind of up to you on how you do it because you could do it that way, or you could make another construction line, which might be helpful. So I could actually go to the left and go to the right like this and hit enter. The only problem with this option is I have actually two lines here. I don't know if you can see that, but that there is like a darker line here that went just back to this line, and then there's a full line here. Let me show you how I know that. If I click this line, look what it tells me. I have a line that is 31 feet. And you're saying, what? How did you get that? That actually is from Quick Properties. Quick Properties is actually one of the options down here that I have selected. So if you were able to go to customization, which it won't let me select at the moment, you can bring up the list and Quick Properties will actually show you the properties right here at your cursor. If that is off, it won't show you this. But I have a line that's 31 feet, and by looking at the blue grips, I can see that it goes from here all the way to here. Okay. I also have one, though, right here. So if I like draw a window, clicking and clicking on the other side, look at that. I have that short little line right there, which would not be necessary. So if I did it this way, I would actually hit delete and get rid of the short line. I still have my long line that goes all the way across. Now remember, you could actually do another construction line and just put it 6 inches away. I now have sort of kind of a room going on here. Okay, I know that this line is a construction line and these two are and these two are, but basically I can kind of draw something from here. Okay, so let's actually draw something and act like this is a room. I'm going to go to line and I'm going to start at basically this intersection. Now it's saying midpoint, but it is also an intersection. It's just that sometimes it'll show one versus another. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to say, I want to go actually 12 feet this direction. I don't want to go all the way to the end. I want to actually put a door here. So I want an opening that's 12 feet away from this corner. So I'm going to pull my cursor. I'm just going to hover there. And I know it says like 10 feet, 4 and 5/8. Okay, but I'm going to force it to go 12. So I'm going to say 12 and the little apostrophe for feet and hit enter. This is exactly 12 feet away. So I can hit perpendicular to my 6 inches and I can let it go back here and select the endpoint and go click again. And I now have these 3 lines drawn. The construction lines are still there, but I have these 3 lines drawn. And let's say I want a window on this side. So I don't want to go all the way to the end, which as you can see is exactly 20 feet, just like we wanted. But let's say I want to go, oh, I don't know, how about 4 feet away from the corner? So I would say 4 feet and hit enter. I'm still in ortho, so it's going to make a straight line. I'm going to let it snap with my O snap to actually be perpendicular. Notice if I sit there long enough, it says that that symbol is perpendicular. So I click, it draws that little line, and then I can go back to the beginning of where I started by clicking, and then I hit enter. Even though you don't see that there are lines there over the other lines, unless you look hard enough, this one is a little lighter than this one. So I actually have 2 lines going on here. I'm going to get rid of these when I'm done. But right now I have these walls drawn. And remember I said I wanted an opening exactly 3 feet away. It's a 3-foot opening. So I need another line 3 feet away from this line. If you look at your drawing for the bedroom, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. But I'm going to go to line and I'm going to hover, not click, on this endpoint. I'm going to pull it and I can sort of see the green in the background. It's on ortho, so I know it's there anyway. But I'm going to pull it away and I'm going to say 3 feet and enter. I did not draw a line. I just started my line 3 feet away from this corner. Now I can actually continue with the line command. This is actually my first point. I can go straight up. I can go now all the way to this intersection. Let it say perpendicular. And let's say, oh, I want another window straight up from here. Let's say, oh, let's say 4 feet away, just like the other side. So I pull my cursor. I say 4 feet. I hit enter. It's now drawn at 4 feet straight up. I could let it snap to the perpendicular 6 inches away. I click. I let it go down to this intersection. I say click. And then I go back over to my original starting point, which is now snaps to endpoint, and I say click. Now I hit enter. And you're saying, are you sure that it did what you wanted to do? Okay, let's check. Let's actually go to erase, and let's erase the 2 construction lines. I now can see better the wall lines that I did create. Okay, but I'm not done. I still want to finish up this wall, and I still want to finish up this wall. I know I have these 2 lines drawn. I drew those separately. So if I hover, it actually says it's a line right here, and it says how long it is. If I click this one, it actually says it's an X line. It does not call it a regular line. If I go down here and select this one, even before I select it, it says it's a line. If I hover here, even before I select it, it says it's an X line. Okay, so that can kind of help you keep track. But I'm going to go to line again, and I'm going to go to this intersection and hover. I'm not clicking. I know I keep repeating that, but a lot of times people will click it thinking that's what they need to do. I'm just hovering. I'm going to pull my cursor straight up so that, it knows to go up. And I'm going to hit 3 feet. So 3 in the apostrophe and hit enter. This is the start of my line again. I have not drawn a line. I go perpendicular, and let's say I want another window 3 feet away from that one. I can pull it up and say 3 feet, enter, and then I can let it snap to the perpendicular and snap to the endpoint. And then I hit enter. I now have a little wall right here. This is going to be a window. This is a wall. Let's say this is going to be another window just like this one. Okay, so it's another 3-foot window. I'm going to go to line. I'm going to let it hover on the endpoint. I'm then going to pull my mouse straight up and hit 3 feet, enter. I'm going to pull it perpendicular to this line and click. I'm going to let it go to the end of this one. Notice you can change how it says it. Perpendicular this way. Sometimes I can get it to say intersection. There it goes. Intersection. Either way, it's going to draw it to the same point. But I'm going to click. And then I'm going to hit enter because this line's already drawn. So I don't need it. Now, I know that I have not connected this point to this point because this is an X line and I never did this line. I could draw it now, or I could show you that, yeah, it doesn't exist. So I'm going to hit erase, and I'm going to erase the construction lines. Notice I did a crossing right through the 2 lines and hit enter. That line still does not exist, but hey, it's easy, right? I mean, you know this. I go to line, I let it snap to the endpoint, I let it snap to the endpoint, and I hit enter. So now I have these walls drawn. Okay, so cool, so sweet. I never finished this side. So I have this line drawn, and it looks like I have a line drawn here. I'm actually going to get rid of both of these lines, but I want to finish this wall over here. So I'm going to go to line. and I'm going to let it hover at this endpoint, pull my cursor just like I've been doing, and say 3 feet, enter. It's now having a start point. I'm going to let it go perpendicular to this line. I'm going to let it go to the endpoint of this line. I'm going to click, and I'm going to say enter. Now I have these 2 lines drawn, and it looks like the only one I have left to do is to connect from here to here. But let's double check. I'm going to hit erase and click this line and hit enter. And sure enough, I don't have this one done. So I'm going to go to line, let it snap to the endpoint of this one, let it snap to the endpoint of that one, and click and hit enter. I still have this line right here. I don't know how far it goes unless I click it. Looks like it goes all the way across, but I don't need it because I want this to be an opening right here. So I'm going to hit delete. And now I have kind of like a room drawn, right? I mean, how sweet is that? Okay, so I want to actually put in some doors and windows. For your assignment that you have, I actually give you a drawing called bedroom blocks. So going up here, I have it open in the background. Right now, I'm on drawing 2. Yours probably says drawing 1. Sorry, I probably drew something earlier. But I'm going to click bedroom blocks. It then brings up the other drawing. This is included on your D2L, and all you have to do is download it. It will load it up into your AutoCAD. And these are the items for your assignment that you're actually going to put in to your room. Now, my room looks a little different than yours that you will have to do, but I wanted to show you something similar. So the cool thing is you can copy things from one assignment to another. It's just that you can't actually type in copy because copy actually copies something in just one drawing. Okay. But up here where it says clipboard, up here on your ribbon, I'm still on the home tab, but I'm all the way at the end. And so if you can't see it, maybe pull your screen a little bit more. But right here next to paste is what they call copy clip. It still is Control C, so you could use that option as well. But you click here, and then it asks you, well, what do you want to copy? Well, let's say, oh, I want the door. This is actually the door symbol. So I'm going to click this. It's one solid object. We're going to learn about how to do that later. And I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to go back to my other drawing by just clicking the folder tab at the top. So now my other drawing is open. I'm going to go up to paste, and notice we do have several options under paste. We're not going to be using these right now, but just doing the normal paste, it is ready to insert my door, and it's kind of locked in a certain position with my cursor. So I'm going to go down here and let it snap to this endpoint, but look what happened. It didn't exactly put it in the right position. I want this door to actually connect to these corners of the wall. So if I click it again, notice I have a blue grip. That's what they call these blue boxes, are grips. If I click that grip with my left button of my mouse and just pull it down, see, I notice I can move it anywhere. If ortho is off, I could put it anywhere in this drawing. Even if I messed up and put it way out here, I could still move it back into position. But I can zoom in with my scroll of my mouse and just click this endpoint. And then when I hit escape, it is locked in to its correct position. Okay, let's try that with one of the windows. So I'm going to go back to the bedroom blocks drawing by clicking it. And these are the 3 windows that you're going to insert into your drawing. Like I said, I can go to the copy clip. I can select one of these windows like this and hit enter. Then I'm going to go back to the drawing I was using, and I'm going to go to paste, and then I have it locked in at a corner. Okay. If I select out here, I can still put it in position, but that little cursor happens to be right smack at the intersection of where I would want to put it. Not here. That wouldn't put it in right place. Not even here. See how it's outside the wall? But on this corner, if I click, it actually puts it right in the correct position of my wall. Let's try that with putting it in the wrong position to begin with. So going back to bedroom blocks and going to copy clip and selecting one and hitting enter. It's got it copied. I'm going to go back to my drawing. I'm going to go to paste again, and I'm going to put it out here. Oh, wrong place, right? So I'm going to click it. Notice my blue grip now is at the top. It isn't at where I had my insertion point, but it's here at the top. But if I click the blue grip, I can then move it wherever I want to. So now I wouldn't want to put it in this position. I would want to put it up here. And it's locked into place. So I hit enter, and actually it wants to do it again. So you do have to hit escape for this time, like that. But I have my windows now in. I have a door in. I have 2 windows in. I could put another window here if I wanted, right? Let's say I wanted a wall right here in the middle. Oh my goodness, how would I be able to do that? Oh, no problem. You go to line, and I'm going to let it snap to this point. But let's say, okay, this was at 12 feet. This is 3 feet away. That's 15. Oops, that would be right smack in the middle, right? Or I could let it snap up to the midpoint of here, and that would be the middle of the room. Maybe I don't want it exactly at the middle. Maybe I want it 2 feet in this direction from the middle. I just let it hover on middle. See, notice I have not drawn a line yet. Just letting it hover on the midpoint. I'm pulling it to the right, and I'm going to say 2 feet, enter. Now I'm 2 feet off of the midpoint of that line. I go down here, I let it snap to perpendicular, and I click, and I hit enter. I need this wall to be 6 inches. Oh, I have my tracking on. I can do it. I go to line, I let it hover on that endpoint. I pull it this direction 6 and enter. And I pull my line straight down, let it snap to perpendicular, and click. I've now got a wall in between these two right here. Okay, let's say I want to put that bed in. I go back to bedroom blocks. I go to copy. I select the bed. I hit enter. I go back to the drawing of the room, and I hit paste. And looky there, I can put this bed anywhere. Let's say this is the bedroom. Maybe I want it to get kind of close to the wall without actually being in the wall, because you don't want to put it in the wall. You don't want to put it in the wrong place, okay? But I can just hover and then click, and I have the bed right here. If I wanted to move it, you know how to do that, don't you? You would click and move, click the blue grip, and then move it to wherever you needed to, okay? And then hit enter. Oops, got another one, remember? So you have to hit escape to get out. Otherwise, it'll keep letting you do that. I've got a bed, 2 windows, a door. If I go back to the bedroom blocks, yeah, I still have some stuff that I need to put in my drawing. But let me show you some other things, because we need to actually learn about how to draw a circle. Sweet! Okay, to do that, I'm going to go to the circle command. The default is center radius. Okay, so if I click circle, look what it's asking. Specify center point for circle. So wherever I click on my screen will be the center of the circle. Let's say the bedroom, I don't know, has a table in it. Maybe the table's over here. Yeah, maybe the table's over here. So I'm going to click, and notice as soon as I start pulling out with my cursor, without clicking, it's ready for me to give a a radius, not a diameter. Now, going back to geometry, do you know the difference between radius and diameter? Okay, did you say it out loud? Okay, you probably did. Radius is half the distance from the center to the edge, and diameter is from one edge to the other edge of the circle. So if it wants the radius, and I want the table to be 4 feet across, then I would have to say the radius is 2 feet. So I type in 2 feet and enter. Now I have a 4-foot radius, 4-foot diameter, 4 feet from edge to edge table. So you could actually do it the other way. You could click the down arrow for the circle, and you could say, I want to do it by saying center diameter. So I'd click that option. And let's say they have another table over here. Okay, just for fun. I'm going to click, just do the start point, and now it actually wants the diameter. But notice what else. If you actually look at your command line, it's actually saying, oh, do you want another one of 4 feet in diameter? If you hit enter, it literally will do the same circle over again. But I'm going to basically force it. I'm going to say 4 feet diameter, and notice they're identical. Okay, I have 2 circles that are 4 feet. But let's say I have something different. Let's say, let's play with these shapes that we drew over here. I'm going to erase some of these just to let's get rid of the kite. I'm just erasing some of these that are kind of in the way. Let's say I want to draw a design with this thing over here. I'm going to do a circle, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to start off with centered radius. Okay, I want to draw a circle from the center of here, and let's pull it out, and let's say I want the radius to be about 3 inches. Okay, so it's 6 inches across. Okay, let's say that I want another circle, but I want to actually use some points on here. Notice another option that I have. I have one that says 2 points. So if you don't know where the center is, you need to start from another point on the circle. Notice this option of 2 point. Okay, if I select that one, it wants the first point on the circle, meaning not the center. Okay, so it would create kind of like the edge of the circle. So I'm going to say I want an edge to be at the midpoint of this line. And now it's asking for where do you want the other edge of the circle to be. Let's say I want it to be the midpoint of this line. I just click. And now I have a circle that actually touches the midpoint on both of these lines. Okay, I could select another option and say, let's try a 3 point. This is one where I need 3 points to finish the circle. Okay, they're all on the circle. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to say, I want 1 point of the circle to be here. I'm clicking, and notice it's not even trying to start to draw the circle yet. It's waiting for your points. I want another point to be here, and then depending on where I hit my last point depends on how big that circle is going to be and what direction actually it's going to be. Okay, so if I select this point on the circle that it was just hovering at for a second, like that, it'll draw my circle like that. It needs all 3 points to finish the circle. So going back to this, if I knew the tangent, the radius, I could do that option. To be honest, I don't use that one very often, but we could if we wanted to draw a circle right smack in the middle of these diamonds. I could even use tangent, 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 which means it touches and is tangent to 3 lines. That would be perfect for inside of one of these diamonds. So let's select that one. It still wants 3 points. So notice if I just move my cursor to this line, it's ready to defer to the tangent of that. So it doesn't matter where I select on this line. I'm going to just click down here. Now it's ready for another line to be tangent to. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to be tangent to this line. Now it's still waiting for my third line. So if I say, okay, I want it to be tangent to this one, as soon as I click, it draws the circle perfectly tangent to all three of those lines. Same thing if I did it over here. So I just hit enter to repeat what I just did. And oh, it's actually for the center point. It differs kind of usually to that center radius. So I would have to go back and pick tangent, tangent, tangent. But I'm going to go tangent this line, tangent this line, and tangent this line. And it does pick all three of those points to be tangent to. It can't reach over here. So if I wanted another circle on this side, I'd have to do the same thing, but I would pick tangent. Even if I picked it over here, it's still selected. Tangent, 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 and now it has a circle on the other end. Way cool. I do have to admit that I mostly use these first two, and occasionally I'll use the 2-point, but those are way cool if you just don't know where the center is. Okay, so we have now drawn a circle in several different ways. We've drawn a room. We've inserted a door, a bed. We got 2 tables. Oh, what if we wanted to put one of the chairs at the table? Actually, the chair would be on this side. So let me go ahead and draw another circle down here. So I'm going to draw one with center radius. And let's say I wanted it exactly lined up with the midpoint of the bed. Way cool. I could just pull it down. Say I want the center of the table to be exactly lined up with the midpoint of the bed. So I would click, and then I would say I want the radius to be 2 feet. There's my 4-foot table drawn. And then I can go back to my bedroom blocks that I've given you. And I can copy this chair. This is a chair looking from above, and hit enter. Then I'm going to go back to my drawing, and I'm going to hit paste, and then I can put the chair at the table. Okay, you're going to actually put in this table right here from that drawing, but just to show an example of being able to put something else into your drawing. The only other thing that I wanted to show you is what they call regen. You won't see much with this one because there's not like a lot of mistakes or points or something. But if you type in RE, notice it immediately defers to regen. Okay, that kind of just kind of cleans up your drawing a little. So if you hit that, if you had any like stray marks or points that you have left just sitting there, it would clean it up. That will be more apparent in maybe a later lecture that we have. I think that is all that you need to know for your next 2 assignments. So be sure and check your D2L because you're going to draw a bedroom. It's going to be smaller than this. You're going to insert all of these blocks into it. And remember, you just use the blue grip to move them. Okay. You're also going to draw a door. Okay. Let me just kind of show you real quickly how that can be fast. If I go to line and I say I want to start the line at 43 feet, comma 0, I literally, with my ortho on, pull it to the right, go 3 feet, pull it straight up. Let's say the door is 6'8". I think yours is 6'10", but I say 6'8". I pull it to the left 3 feet, hit enter, and then I can hit C for close. And I actually have the start of my door. And then either with construction lines or your object snap tracking, you can put in the other lines for your door and your little doorknob over here in the corner. So you're going to draw a door, you're going to draw your bedroom, and then the last one is those coordinates that I told you could start, and now you can finish. So I know you're going to do great. I know you're going to have fun with this. If you have any problems, please don't hesitate to text or call or email me. But I know that you're going to have fun and do great. So thanks so much. I'll see you next class period.